Welcome again to another episode of Coffee Chat with the CAO, the Chief Administrative Officer. I am, as always, Camille Duchaussee, the city's Chief Administrative Officer. And I am happy this week to welcome three guests as opposed to normally having a single guest. I am joined by participants in this year's cohort of the Mayor's Internship Program. And for those of you who don't know, as part of our workforce development program, we utilize our Mayor's Internship Program to expose students in our local colleges and beyond to the values and the work experience within city employment. I'm joined today, happily, by three interns who work within the Chief Administrative Office's cluster. So why don't you take a moment and introduce yourselves?
I'll start it off.
Sure, thank you, Shane.
I am Shane Dawson, a rising senior scholar at Florida A&M University. I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I interned with the City College's Municipal Employment Program this summer.
Oh, thank you.
I'm Vicky Heliodoro. I'm a rising senior at Temple University. I'm studying communications and criminal justice. I'm originally from Reading, and this summer I interned in the Employee Engagement, Infrastructure, and Operations Department.
Nice.
My name is Hamza Mqadmi. I'm a student at Temple University. I'm a senior. I'll be graduating this summer, hopefully, and I've been interning with the Office of Talent and Employee Success under the broader CAO umbrella.
Okay, nice to, thank you first of all for agreeing to do this. We talked about this a little bit before we started, this is just a chat. I think it's really important for us to kind of honor and celebrate the work that, first of all, our interns contributed during the course of the program, but also the program itself has a lot of benefits and not a lot of people know about it, right? And so this is an opportunity for us to learn a little bit about your experience and for your experience to inform any other person who might be interested down the road in interning with the city of Philadelphia. So one of the things that I thought is particularly important to talk about a little bit is public service, right? It's just always a struggle. You know, I know that when I was coming out of college, I came out of college in the 80s, and or actually I went into college in the 80s, came out in the 90s, but you know, finance and kind of, you know, private sector work, that's really what everybody espoused to pursue, right? And or endeavor to pursue. And I fell into public service. I just took a chance and went into the, you know, career support office within the University of Pennsylvania and found this internship opportunity with the Department of Justice, right? I never even thought about working for the federal government, let alone in the public sector. Didn't understand public sector work really. But 30 years later, 35 years later, having spent my entire career in the public sector, I think it's an invaluable experience. I think it is very worthwhile. As a resident, as a citizen, as a member of a whole community, I love the idea that the work that I do plays a part in how people experience the places that they live and play. So I'm just curious, when you applied for the internship, was that a thought for you, or was this really your first exposure in terms of maybe this is a career path for me, public sector work?
I'll start first. It was definitely something new for me. I think my biggest thing when applying for the Mayor's Internship Program was trying to make an impact on my community. I know that in neighborhoods around where I'm from or sections of where I'm from in the city, our youth are not necessarily in the right way, in the right environment to succeed. And I felt like getting this opportunity, learning about this experience, seeing the work put in behind the scenes that our city does and our mayor does to make our community a safer place, I felt like that was important to me. And so I took that opportunity, and I didn't take it for granted because I knew a lot of people applied. And it was a great experience to see the work that so many great people in our city do to help our city stay safe and be prosperous.
Was there anything that surprised you about maybe the way the municipal kind of administrative parts of government operate? Anything that changed your perspective?
There were definitely some things. I think the biggest takeaway I learned from my experience with CCME was the collaboration from all different departments of the city. So many people that you wouldn't necessarily think have a say in how a operation works, they do. And I learned that from my first week. I was put in meetings that I didn't feel like I belonged in, but my mentor and boss, Miss Carol DeFree, she had a lot of faith in me to learn and put my input and my voice and opinion into procedural operations. And that was my biggest takeaway, just learning that everybody's voice matters to make our city a safe and successful city.
All right. No, thank you. Vicky?
Yeah, I had a very similar experience. I originally looked into the program. I've just always had a passion for helping others. It's always something that I wanted to pursue from a career standpoint. And then being a citizen of Philadelphia, I have family in Philadelphia. City government was kind of just like a great avenue to start exploring that.
Yeah.
And I also did not realize how much went into it. I've met so many different people almost every week and like different specialists in different fields, and they all have to work together for certain projects that you wouldn't even think about. I've been working with my supervisor, Katrina Clark, on a lot of different like large scale projects, and I didn't realize just how much thought and planning it takes to accurately and like successfully implement a program into the city. So that was definitely something that I learned.
Did you come in with a preconceived notion about what your career trajectory would be, or this pretty much aligns with what you thought you would be going into?
I'm kind of still figuring that out,
Sure.
but I know that it's something to do with public service.
Okay.
So when I came into this program, what I liked about it was because they offered so many different departments, and that was kind of perfect for someone like me who doesn't really know exactly where I fall into, and that's definitely actually helped me kind of scale that down by the end of the summer, which is kind of exactly why I went into the program in the first place.
Remind me again what your concentration is.
I'm studying communication and criminal justice.
Okay.
So,
And I can see how working with Katrina and the EEIO group aligns with communications. Sure. Was there anything in particular that help you narrow, maybe when you return back to your course of study, help you narrow that down a little bit?
yeah, so I actually got to talk to some people in the reentry department. I met with Asada Thomas. She's lead of that department, and that's something that I found a huge passion of mine for.
Sure.
So I'm hoping once I finish my schooling, that's something that I could kind of
That's
pivot
lovely.
towards.
Yeah. Oh, great. Hamza?
So this is also my first time being exposed to public service, and it's also something that I had more or less fallen into. It's not something that I had really considered beforehand, but when my university came to me with this opportunity, as somebody who's deciding between continuing in my program until grad school and law school, I figured that interning for the city would be a great way to inform my decision and help me decide what I'd want to do in the future.
Was there anything in particular in the work that you were able to be exposed to during the MIP this summer that you think changes your focus from an academic concentration perspective, or affirms maybe the focus that you've chosen academically?
So one of the things I've learned is that I have somewhat an affinity for project management. One of the things that I've been doing in the Office of Talent and Employee Success is facilitating and coordinating our professional development Fridays when we all get together and we have different events and activities set out. And helping support that has taught me that project management is something I definitely want to pursue.
Okay. I'm assuming that we are close to, if we haven't already passed the point in which you now have to make some choices about the coming semester, the academic choices you have to make. Anybody impacted by the work their choice being impacted by the work they did this summer?
I could definitely say it's definitely a thought of mine. In college, I'm a student coach for our football program at FAMU, and
Okay.
that's a passion of mine, and I work with young athletes with egos and coaches with egos every day. And so being in this environment has taught me how to manage those interactions. I think I've learned valuable skills that will help me be able to think broadly and broaden my horizons, as this internship definitely has. And I never know. Life will take you on different journeys and different paths, and if I do fall into public service again, I know how to attack it. I know how to use it to my advantage to help those around me and help whatever environment, community I'm in be a better and safer place.
Okay.
For me, it makes me more excited for my course load, actually. Quajer Abdullah, I believe I'm pronouncing his name right. He's the leader of the
Kaiser,
Muslim.
I'm not certain, yes,
Kaiser,
but
yes. He's the leader of the Muslim engagement department.
Yes.
I'm actually taking a class with him at Temple coming
Awesome.
up next
Oh, my
semester, so
goodness,
I'm really
yeah.
excited for that.
Now, he's an
Yeah.
interesting person, and I met him, side story, before he became the head of the Office of Muslim Engagement. He was an imam for the police department.
Okay.
And we had a opportunity to work together, and I thought his communication, particularly his verbal communication, was so precise, and just the idea that in having a conversation with the person, there's very little ambiguity about the intention, the meaning, what was trying to be elicited. I think he's very good at that. So I'm really excited for you that you're going to have an opportunity to sit in his class.
Me too. It'll be really good. Excited.
Absolutely. Nice.
So working for the city has actually helped me decide that I want to take a gap year before I pursue my second degree.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to try to land a full-time position with the city, hopefully. Or really
We definitely need to talk after this.
Yes, we do. But really, I just want more experience in public service in general, because so far I've really been enjoying my time here, and I want to see what other paths can be opened up to me.
Okay. So starting with you, Hamza, if you had to message maybe what the interaction, the engagement with the MIP program has meant to you, what you're taking away from it, what would that be? Because I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, but remember, I also want to understand for anyone who may be watching who's interested potentially, or who has a family member or a colleague or confidant, anyone who may have someone who the MIP would appeal to, I want you to maybe speak to what you took away from it. And we're going to come back around, and I'd also like to understand what things that you think would improve the program.
So what I took away personally is a mindset. And before I worked for the city, I had this assumption that government work was impersonable. It all seemed very anonymous to me. So
Interesting.
one of the first things that I've discovered was that it's very personal, and that there are tons of passionate people that all do their best to provide the city with the services that they need. And so that's definitely my takeaway, is that I've learned to be present in whatever I'm doing.
You all, it's interesting that you say that. You all were here during a very interesting time, right? Especially in our labor relationship. I think, was it your first week? Or maybe
A few weeks in.
a few weeks? Was it a
Yeah.
few weeks in? We had the occasion of having a labor stoppage because we were, of course, going through the process of negotiation and trying to find common ground. Did that inform in any way the way you perceived the sensitivity, the personality, the personal nature with which folks come to work in a municipality, in a city agency?
I think what I took away from that experience was, first and foremost, I was really amazed by how the city reacted to the strike. And just being an intern in that environment, I remember being, I guess, just a little uninformed as to what the procedures are, what would happen. And everybody came together. Things went smoothly. There was a concern about interns coming in maybe only for the first day during the strikes. But after that, I think everything came together quite nicely. So I was just amazed by the fact that the city continued to operate despite those circumstances.
But I think it speaks very well to what you're saying, that this is an organization of human beings that it does not always appear that way, right? We don't always get the impression that behind the person with whom we are working, for whatever reason in city government, that there's a human being behind that, and I mean, very much appreciate you highlighting that.
I think that's what I'm speaking to, is seeing everyone's personal
Yeah.
efforts during that time.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Vicky,
I
anything
think,
you want to share about the program?
Oh, yes. What I would tell other people that are like interested in the program is just try it, because if working in city government is something that's interest to you, or even if you're just curious as to what that looks like, I've definitely gained like so much more understanding of kind of what you were just speaking about, like the people that make the city work and how willing the professionals were to teach me as well. Like, I'm just an intern, and everyone that I've spoken to actually is excited to share their knowledge with me, and that helps you gain deeper understanding in so many different departments. So even if it isn't government that you want to do, maybe you want to do finance, or you want to do so many different things, that's kind of where city government is. There's a bunch of different departments, so I think it's a great opportunity for many different avenues.
I love that.
Yeah.
It is one of the selling points that we use, that maybe public sector work or public service is not the thing that's driving you, but because we are an organization of over 60 departments, different industries, if there is something of interest to you for which you want experience, this is a place where you can get it and even pivot if you needed to from a career perspective. So thank you. Shane, anything that you want to say about the program to someone who is possibly interested or unaware?
Yeah, to piggyback off Vicky, I think if you have any questions in terms of what you want to do, just try MIP. I think you can learn a lot about yourself. You can learn a lot about the city that you live in, and you can experience some things and meet some people that can change your life. Me personally, my mentor, Deshaun Jones, he actually grew up with my father, and I didn't know that until
Really?
I interviewed with him
Oh, that's
on
interesting.
my video call. And he taught me a lot in terms of ways to juggle different tasks. He's worked in the city for over 28, 30 years, and being around people like that, I think, can help anybody that's young, that's in college, that wants to work in public service, or they don't know what they want to do. But I think this internship, this experience definitely opens up horizons, and it can open up pathways to a life you didn't know about.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I, again, never really aspired to go into any particular type of business other than, again, in the late 80s, early 90s, finance was the place that everybody was driving toward, and ending up in the federal government and in the public sector, to me, was the greatest gift. And it was not exacerbated is not the word I'm looking for, but it was reinforced when I retired from the federal government and came into the city government, and to see the very short connection in the city government between the work you do and the people you impact. That just kind of sealed the deal for me. Like, this is where I was meant to be. You would think it wouldn't have taken me 30 years to figure that out, but this really is where it's meant to be. And the opportunity to influence or be part of the influence to a new group of bright minds and kind of eager, emerging leaders and public servants is very rewarding for me. And I'm very thankful that you all took the opportunity to apply for the program and then stepped into the program the way you did. Now, I benefited from it because you all rested within CAO. But one of the places where I think we can also benefit is from understanding what things maybe, if you had an opportunity to make a tweak or say, hey, what about this? What things, if any, it's okay if you say no, would you make that tweak to about the program?
I think the only thing that I want to increase is the interns being around each other a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
I think that our group of 52, when we're around each other, it's a very vibrant and a very exciting time, and we only see each other every other Friday for the most part.
Okay.
And so I felt like if the interns can come together more, or we took some on a random Wednesday, let's go to Love Park or whatever the case is to just get us around each other more. I feel like that'd be something that the next cohort will value.
Yeah, you mentioned Dawson. He very much, to me, kind of embodies the spirit of public service, in that he's a jack of many trades, and he's taken advantage throughout his career of kind of different departments and different experiences, the newest iteration being within CCME. And he kind of speaks to that. He and I chat every now and then. He does speak to the idea of like the importance of networking and support. And so I love that. And what I do endeavor with any of our opportunities, but particularly with MIP, is creating these networking opportunities, not just with city officials, but with each other. Because down the road, I have found from an HR perspective, that network is just as influential as the knowledge that you have, right? The experience that you have. That network has almost equal importance in you being able to kind of get to that next thing that you desire from a career perspective. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I would definitely want to reiterate that one as well. I think our whole intern cohort brings a lot of like different personalities and experiences in different
You guys
departments.
have great energy, I would
Yeah,
say. Yeah,
no, for sure. And half the time I don't even know who is in what department, so that would be a good avenue for us to expand on. The only other thing I would also say is we had the opportunity to meet with a bunch of different city officials at a networking event, but it came later in the program, and I think maybe moving that up so that we could start to have more knowledge on what departments are available to us, because something else I learned is city government is so huge and there's a lot of charts and a lot of names that you kind of don't know who works with who. So being able to get that experience at the beginning kind of, I think, would set us up to succeed for the end of the program so that we know who to reach out to with different departments, and I think that would be a good opportunity.
Nice, thank you. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Along the same lines, I think it would be interesting to have at least more than one intern per department. And what I mean by that is, personally, one of my favorite parts of the internship was working with the interns in my team. And so I kind of want that experience for all of the interns. And I think it would be nice if all interns had at least another intern in their department that they could work with.
That's interesting. Okay. Definitely take that under advisement. And I love seeing this dynamic, right? And so, I mean, I know that you probably were a little bit separated from the group because where CCME is physically located, but that is an aspect of the program that I really have never contemplated. So thank you. Thank you for that. All right. Any questions that you guys have of me? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No.
Sorry, that wasn't planned. I'm sorry.
What is your favorite part about working for the city?
Oh gosh, it is exactly what I said. You know, again, most of my career I had been in the federal government, and then moving into the city's government, I get to see directly the work that I do impact a human being. And that it's underrated in a weird way, or at least I feel like I took it for granted that I'm here, I'm working for a good reason, I understand the greater good, but I don't see it on the face of the person who gets to say, oh my gosh, I was able to do this thing because of the work that you were doing, or the work of your team. And that was never more evident than our first CCME graduation and our first CCME, our inaugural class. So we went to the first class, I attended the first class, and you saw the enthusiasm and the energy in the room, folks who want to find different pathways and opportunities to build on either their careers or pivot in their career or start their career. And that really was fulfilling. And I know it's selfish, but it was fulfilling for me. And then when we got to the end and we were at the graduation, seeing just again, like that energy did not diminish. If nothing else, it multiplied, right? And there were family members there that were supporting this individual who felt like their path was now broader. There was more opportunity for them. And I can't really describe how that made me feel other than a huge sense of pride and gratitude for all the people who had, particularly Carol, who had worked so hard to bring that to fruition. And so my favorite part about working in the city is just that, seeing the impact of the work that everybody does play out on the face of a resident or their family's experience. So I love it and wouldn't change it for the world, and want to bring more people in. And I think the program here, the Mayor's Internship Program, is just one of the best vehicles for doing that.
Yes, ma'am. I have a
Go ahead.
I have a question for our next cohort, or for us as well. What do you look for in an intern that stands out? Like, hey, that kid has it. That kid, they're do you want to work with?
That's a good question. Someone asked me that question in the 2023 or 2024 cohort, one of the two, and it was a little bit different. The question was like, what do you look for in an when you're interviewing someone who's applying for one of your positions or whatever the case might be? And the interesting thing is, it's not necessarily the school or the GPA or the concentration. There is something about an individual who conveys that they are committed to and kind of hungry and aware of their responsibility to be a party to the work environment, right? I completely understand the interview process where you are trying to put your best foot forward, but what comes through for the person, for me, is when you know a thing and you believe in a thing, the confidence with which you speak and the detail with which you speak to that thing, whether it's research, whether it's moving a widget, whether it's writing a memo, it absolutely comes through. And I really feel like we should never underestimate the importance of celebrating how much something means to you, right? Again, doesn't matter what the issue, whether, even if it's penmanship, like you feel very strongly about penmanship because, and there are very few people, because we are very much caught up in the idea of the interview or the idea of this interaction, that you're trying to figure out what I want you to say to me, as opposed to you telling me what is important to you. That stands out. I can't tell you how much that stands out when you find it, when the person feels that strongly about the thing, that they want to be an expert in it, that they want to study it, that they've had experience in it, and this is how that experience impacted them. That's what I kind of look for, and you can feel it right here. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke. You can absolutely feel it in the room with the three of you and how you're speaking about the program. I think that is lovely, right? And it comes out naturally. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like, okay, let me make sure I check the box and I said this word and I used this phrase. It is just coming through, and I think that's going to serve all of you as you move forward in your careers.
Yes, ma'am.
My turn for a question?
Sure.
I guess as you're such a higher position within city government, how do you manage, kind of being that person and like having so many people looking to you for answers? What is like your best advice for like management, or even for your own self? How do you take care of yourself at the end of the day as well?
Yeah, that's So there does have to be that other thing that anchors you. Now, if work anchors you, that's fine. That's great. But if there's an other thing, whether it is a hobby, whether it's family, whether it's travel, whatever that other thing is, being clear with yourself that you're not going to deprioritize that thing on a recurring basis. Of course, we have to make hard choices all the time, especially when you have an administration that is working with such large-scale initiatives, right? Like at the end of this administration, there are some large-scale pivots that we are trying to realize, right? That the mayor is absolutely trying to realize. And that's not something that happens lightly and without a considerable amount of effort, time, resourcing, all other stuff, right? And so priorities, yes, we do have to prioritize and reprioritize things from time to time. But if you find yourself on a continuous basis deprioritizing everything else, I think that is a recipe for either burning out very early or potentially not being sustainable, so that you're not getting the best of whatever that talent is that that individual brings to the table. I find myself very much leaning in when I'm off on that off time, and again, taking great joy in those spaces and places that are outside of work. And then when you're at work, of course, you're trying to put that full effort in. And I'm going to tell you, this again sounds really corny, I'm sorry, but the idea that we just talked about of knowing CCME, the Home Initiative, the work that we're doing with MIP, the work that we've done with like networking with our interns, all of that means something. And when you see it, even again in this conversation with 3 people who I'm hoping we've impacted positively, that is fulfilling. And so understanding what your priorities are and making sure that you are not routinely deprioritizing things that are not related to work, and that whatever that center is for you, and the center for me is that feeling, it's selfish, but it's that feeling that I get when I see something come to fruition in a way that I meant it to. When you center that and just keep remembering why you're doing what you do, that's what allows me to kind of take on this role and not feel overwhelmed by it or consumed by it.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for the questions. And thank you for being available and flexible and willing to do this. I'm hoping, selfishly, to see you all again. You know, MIP doesn't stop necessarily after one interaction, so you can absolutely feel free to look us up. And we want you to feel like this is an engagement that you want to talk to other people about. And part of what I loved about this year's cohort are the little statements and snapshots that we received from each of you, so that we might be able to use that down the road to improve the process, number one, but also to kind of, again, market and talk about the program in a positive way, and hopefully expand it, right? When we see the value of it, we get to expand it, we get more resources and more opportunities for bright young minds like yourselves. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Hopefully, when you all see this played back, we're all happy with it. Yeah. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in for another episode, and talk to you soon. Take care.